Welcome. Welcome to the Anyone Can Farm live chat, Tuesday night edition. I'm Mark, your host, coming to you from Baker's Green Acres here in northern Michigan. Homesteader extraordinaire. Having a good time today. Really good time. Yeah, lots going on. Okay, our show tonight is going to be sponsored by the Anyone Can Farm Experience charcuterie class, which is coming up on the 9th and 10th. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. It's a 2-day class. And in this class, we can have up to 12 people. And I think at this point we have 9. So there's still some room for people to get in. If those of you who are Tribe Plus members, you get a real break on the price of the class. So that's good. And what we do, well, first of all, what charcuterie is, it is like the art of preserving pork, right? I guess you could do it with other things. I know they do it with duck. We've only ever done it with pork. All right, Keith is with us. He's got 12 inches of snow. We got like 4 here. I'm going to talk about that. Sean Wise is with us. Hey, Sean. So it's a class that we've done now. This will be our 3rd year doing it. We've been doing charcuterie for our family and friends for, like 15 years. So it's not a new process to us. I wouldn't say that we're experts at it, but we can turn out a pretty good product. And it's one of those processes that in the homesteading business that I feel is kind of important, because you never want to put all of your eggs in one basket, okay? You want to disperse your assets, right? So let's say that you're running a homestead. By nature, being a homesteader, you are a prepper, right? You prep for the next season, the next growing season, the next winter, the next summer. Like, I'm preparing for spring now, right? I'm getting ready for spring now. And a lot of times that preparation is just, it's all here. Oh, this is what I'm going to do when spring comes around. And all summer long, I'm preparing for winter, which is where we are right now. It came really quick. We've been having some super nice weather for northern Michigan. And all of a sudden, whammo, it got cold. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit too. And you may notice that I have an abrasion here on my nose and my forehead. I had a little accident today. I'll talk about that too. All right, the Copperheads are with us. Right on. So where was I? I may have gotten a little bit of brain damage from that tank that hit me in the head today. Yeah, you don't want to put all your assets in. You want to disperse your assets, right? So when let's say we knock off a pig, we make pork chops out of it. The pork chops, some of them go in the freezer. Some of the meat goes in cans, not really cans, but jars. We can it. Isn't that funny how you can stuff in jars? I wonder if anybody ever noticed how weird that sounds. And then some of the meat, we're going to salt it and hang it, is what they say. You're going to hang these hams, hang these prosciuttos, hang these sausages. So dry curing is really where that's at. And the nice thing about that is the electricity can go off and it doesn't really matter. So that would be the stuff that you ate the last. Let's say that there was an alien invasion and all the electricity lines just fried, burned, and you knew they were not going to come back on. You would probably eat the stuff in your freezer first. And then you would go to the stuff that you had in cans or jars, and then you'd go to your dry cured meats next. But in the meantime, you'd be killing other pigs and, providing, if you could. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. I this morning, the sun was out, not like yesterday. Yesterday was cold, blowing snow sideways, terrible cold. We weren't really used to it. Had a problem with my tractor, had one of the control cables freeze up, so I had to take that cable off and bring it in the house and then take it back outside. And then it froze again and I had to bring it in again. So I had a kind of a rough day. Wasn't feeling real farmy, like it was one of those days when I thought, why don't I have a roller rink or something, be a roller rink owner or something else? Why didn't I buy that fishing boat down in the Gulf that I've always been wanting? But I snapped out of it today and went out, and before you knew it, things were good. I had to milk this morning, so me and Frank milked and talked on the phone a little bit and started looking around. The sun was out, and I was thinking, we really got a lot done this summer, and now is the time to turn the printing presses on. So that's why I asked Jill to entitle this Counterfeiting on the Homestead. So it would grab people's attention. Counterfeiting meaning if we had some way to make fake $100 bills or fake $20 bills, something like that. And that's not really what I'm talking about. That wouldn't be, I wouldn't think that we'd want to make any of the federales think that we're going to counterfeit. But what we are doing, though, is kind of pulling that whole thing apart. All right. So before we were homesteaders, I worked for a company, U.S. Air Force. They compensated me in dollars. And then I took those dollars, and when I took them to Sam's Club, they believed that those dollars were worth something. So I could buy goods from Sam's Club, and they would let me walk out of the store. It became mine then. They had my dollars. And when I went in and did the Air Force, they wanted me to do certain things. And where did they get the money, though, was the question. Where did they get the money? Oh, supposedly they get it from the taxpayers who want to be kept safe. And so the taxpayers donate some of the money to the Air Force to fly security over the United States. That's the story. That's how the story goes. And we'll just leave it right there. It's a good story anyway. But what about those dollars? Lately, our dollars, you can see them fluctuate. We see that fluctuation happening all over the place. Like when you go to the store now and you buy a can of green beans, they're more expensive than they were, say, 2 years ago. Now, is that they're more expensive? And I know a lot of people are saying, we know this. Or are the dollars worth less? They are worth less, right? I think that's the latter. I think they are worth less. Not worthless, but worth less. You can buy less gasoline. You can buy less anything with the dollars that we have right now. And, you can write your congressman if you want and say, you need to do something about this. And he'll be like, yeah, I'll be right on it. Make sure you vote for me because I'll get it done. But that's not really gonna, I'm not gonna bank on that. Right? So what do we do? And this conversation could be, it could be put under the category of value adding. I remember when I first heard that, you'd hear that coming out of the small farmers conference, value adding. And it didn't really compute, right? So it wasn't until I broke away from that, because when I was involved in the small farms conference and that thinking, that way of thinking, either they drive you there or you just go there because everybody else does. I'm not really sure, but you kind of feel compartmentalized, very much like being in the military. Copperheads with us, I know. So if you do this, if this is your job, your MOS, right, or AFS, or whatever, however they acronym it in your branch of the service, that's what you do. You don't do this over here. They don't move you around, not very often, right? Air Force is highly compartmentalized. If you are, well, I'll just say that they don't move you around that much. And that way of thinking in the farming world made sense to me. I actually have a fly that's terrorizing me. Just think flies should be dead by this time of the year. But when you're compartmentalized like that, it kind of lowers your options, right? It makes you less durable. It makes you less resilient as a family, and less resilient as a business. You're far less resilient. And let me give you an example of what I mean. So, and this is what we did. When we first, well, it wasn't first. It would have been probably about 3 years after we were going. And I was going to the Small Farms Conference. I really liked the Small Farms Conference. Matter of fact, that's where I met Joel Salatin at the small. And I didn't actually meet him. I just saw him speak. And I really wasn't impressed, to be honest with you, because I had come out of the military world and he was very different. So I wasn't really impressed. It was like, is he a comedian, or, all these squeaks and high voices and low voices and really hammering like the he would call it USDA. And I wasn't sure about that. It's like, I thought USDA, I thought that's government. I worked for the government. In government good. And but back then, when I was wearing a uniform all the time, I thought that conservation officers were useful. I thought we were on the same team. When you come to find out, we're not on the same team at all. So I took what he said, I heard it, and okay. But then when I put into practice what I was going to do to make a living, we built, a chicken tractor. And then we had 4. And then a company from around here that did a distribution thing. They've just gone out of business, by the way. Cherry Capital Foods in Traverse City. They were buying locally produced goods and then they would resell it. And so, okay. And they would pay me for every chicken that I could produce. And then they resold it at a pretty good, they made a pretty good profit on it. And so we were making X amount with 5 chicken tractors. And so we said, okay, we got to scale up. And so we scaled up to 30 chicken tractors. And we were operating 30 chicken tractors here. We were processing like 3 days a week. And I had quite a few people working for me, mostly kids. And it wound up being just this buzz of activity going on here all the time. And then at the end of a week, you thought, well, we start again Monday. How did we do last week? I don't know. We'll see. So we didn't really know. Maybe Jill did. She probably did. But I didn't. And it never really felt like we had many options because we were producing all these chickens and we were selling them to this one company. And after a while, they started telling us that the price has got to come down because they had us. I had all this equipment, all this stuff going, and they started to dictate to me because they could. They had me where they wanted me. And then they came in and they said, hey, we need a copy of your insurance policy. I don't have an insurance policy. That's what I told them. Oh, you got to have one. And on it went. And then finally they got a little too intrusive. And I said, actually, I had quite a temper when I came out of the military. I didn't really have it when I was in the military, but when I got out, it's like I really flared up for a few years. I was really bad. And like I would be up there at that place and all of a sudden I would get so angry and then I'd get loud and they'd get loud. And boy, a couple times it was almost like game on. And so I didn't like working with them anyway. After a while, it was run by a guy that was extremely wealthy and he looked down his nose at everybody. And I just didn't like him very much. And he hired a couple people that I didn't like very well either. So anyway, they're gone now. They weren't very sustainable. But we were doing a lot of one thing. And we were not very resilient. And as soon as I broke with them, then I had to sell all those chickens. And that meant I wasn't here on the farm. I was in my S10 going to all of these places selling. And that went on for 2 seasons. And then it was not good because I wasn't here to keep things running. And so it just wasn't good. All right. And then things changed. A lot of those chicken tractors, we let them go. We sold some of them. We gave some of them away. And some of them, my neighbor's cows got into and destroyed. So then we went through a process of, there was a legal process that went on, so a lot of you know of, and it was a battle with the Department of Natural Resources over our pigs. And that went on for several years, and that just changed our focus totally because they wanted to bury us completely. And anyway, when we swam out of that, we got back on the Homestead model because that's where we started. And we're able to see after a little while, oh, wow, this is the model you want because it's diverse. You can continue to diversify it. You can make it as diverse as you want. And it's resilient, meaning that if you take a hit from one direction, you'll be okay because you can fall back over here. Like if you take a bunch of your milk customers go away, well, that's okay because we still have our chicken customers. A bunch, you can take a hit and you can still keep coming back. You're not going to get buried. And so then we got back into milking cows. And now we're milking 5. I'm on the way to probably 10 at some point. But I'm building it slowly. We are turning over just about all the milk that we produce at this point, which is really nice. I think we got about 6 new customers last week, which is really nice. So it's building. A lot of what has happened is, say, the Department of Agriculture, all of their, put your mask on and this and get your shot and all this. People lost confidence in those agencies. And now when they say, raw milk, it's deadly, it'll kill you, they're kind of like, yeah, I always knew it wasn't. So people are coming back to the basics now instead of the foods that the USDA says, this is safe for you to eat. Yeah, you eat this. This will be good for you. Eat some crickets, boy. So the homestead model, as far as I'm concerned, is the way to go for a family, especially when you have children that are going to be participating in the business. And now I'm starting to see, like, we had one intern last summer, Covey, and he worked out really well. And we talked before he left, like, hey, maybe we could have a couple more interns next year, and they could report to Covey, and so he would be the head intern, right? And so yeah, we're talking about that now, and probably in January we're going to be making the offer, and we're going to take. I think it's going to be 4, 2 guys and 2 girls, and so then we can spread the the knowledge base, the attitude. It's an attitude. Attitude being how you approach something. Do you approach it head on? Do you approach it with your belly showing? Do you approach it with your canopy showing? Attitude. And that's probably the best thing that I can do for my country right now. That is probably the best thing I can do, you know, because that sustainability, that durability, that ability to take hits and not be blown out of the water is really important these days. You need to be durable. You need to be sustainable, and you need to be what's that third one I was thinking about? Covey's with us. All right, Covey. Covington. My man Covington. So I saw a thing, a meme years ago, and it was growing a vegetable garden is like printing money. And as I've thought about that over the years, well, what I could say the same thing about raising pigs is like printing money. Like that process of a mother pig having 7 babies, that's not, you know, I don't have much to do with that. I'm just, she belongs to me. I got a boar, put them together, and they did the wild thing. And then we have babies. And then I have fences, I have facilities that I can separate the babies. I have the know-how to castrate the males. I know how. There's a lot of know-how that goes into it, and I have that. That's my part of it. But then when I put those feeder pigs in a pen, a big pen, like a grow area pen, and I'm walking the feed to them, that growing that they do, that's way above me. That's not me. I'm watching that happen. I just got to give them the feed, make sure they're watered, and they grow. I got to contain them so they don't get away. Not hard to do. It's just know-how stuff. It's stuff anybody can do if they follow directions. Follow directions. But how do you turn the printing press on by raising pigs? A lot of people get themselves in a fix with animals. They really do. Like they know enough to get into it, and then they romanticize about how fun it would be. And it is. It's like keeping an aquarium. Oh, this is cool. And we've got an aquarium, and then after a while, nobody wants to look at fish anymore, and so you flush them down the toilet. Well, you can't do that with pigs, right? So in order to turn those pigs to convert them into dollars, you got to sell them, right? And that can be a challenge. So you've got a mother pig that's had 7 pigs, and at 8 weeks, you wean them, you take them away from mom. First thing is, how do you get them away from her? How do you do that? How do you do that? That's know-how, right? And there's a way to do that, and it's safely and easily and all that stuff. Um, Maturing has helped me learn how to do things easier, right? We would just go out there, we'd corner them, we'd catch them, and then run like crazy with them because mom would be after us. I don't do that anymore. Have a better way. And then you would sell that wiener pig. Well, there's kind of a problem with that. You're selling them to people who have a lot of times less experience than you do. And people with less experience than you do, their fallback position is, well, I don't want them in the wintertime. I don't know why people always say that, but I hear it so much. Oh, you can't sell wiener pigs in the wintertime. It's true. You can't, because people are afraid that they might have to carry a 5-gallon bucket outside. Ooh, that would be hard. So wiener pigs born in the fall are worth less unless you have the process. You got to have the process. You got to have a plan. Unless you got a plan. I used to work for a squadron commander. I hated his guts, but he said to me one time, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. Terrible guy, but he did say that it was true. You got to have a plan. So let's say we have a baby pig and somebody wants to buy it, and we set the price at $100. Well, that's good. That's good. We've made a gain on that. But let's say nobody wants to buy it. Then they get to be, and they're 30 pounds and you sell them for $100. That's great. Then they get to be 60 pounds. Then they get to be 80. Then they get to be 120 pounds. Well, what do you sell them for now? And do people buy 120-pound pigs? No, it's kind of an in between, Oh, you might get somebody that wants a roaster, but that's few and far between. All right. So my plan has always been, I want to own the entire process. I want to own the mother pigs. I want to own the boar. I want to own the ability to separate them out, castrate them if I need to, or sell them as breeding stock if someone wants them, but you can't depend on that. And then everything else that's left over, put them in a pen that I've gotten good at rotating them within the grow area, which is a pen that's 300 feet long and 100 feet deep and is divided into thirds. So I've gotten good, but once they get in that pen, the only way they come out is dead. That's it. We don't have a loading chute in there at all. And what do you do from there? What do you do from there? From the time that gun goes off and then that pig falls over dead, now what? That's my famous thing in videos that I do, is talk about now what? Now what do we do? I'll be telling you about this wound on my head in a minute here. Well, long time ago, we knew that the system of taking animals in to be butchered, it's broken. There should be many small mom and pop shops around. There should be many. So there's competition, and the competition would be, well, these guys are cheaper, but these guys do a good job. Oh, these guys make great bacon over here. These guys are jerks. They can't, And what we have really is, they're not jerks, but they don't need you. You need them. And so many times I have not gotten my own meat back when we used to use a USDA plant. And I was friends with the guy, but he's got a bunch of $10 an hour employees. And they come and they go, and it's a lot easier for them to throw your meat away than it is for them to pack your meat up. And a lot of times I'd get my meat back and it'd be like, this is not a Mangalitsa pig. And they would be like, a pig's a pig. You get, And so we had to say, we can't do that, because we needed a consistent product to give to sell to our customers. Like, we want to sell a high quality, consistent product. So we knew that we were going to have to own the process ourselves. And so that was a process too of, oh, let's check with the US and see what they say. And of course, they have a license that they'll sell you. That's probably a conversation for another time, but it's not necessary that you do that. They will tell you it's necessary, but however, it is not necessary. In no way is it necessary. And I've operated now for many years, in excess of 6 years now. Let's see, 2014. So there's 6 plus 3, 9 years without any kind of licensing. And the license really is a permit. It's permission slip. But if you don't ask for it, they can't make you get it. Like if you're in high school and you stand up, go to the bathroom, come back, sit down, there's nothing they can do. You know, if you don't ask for it, you're violating none of the rules. Right. So anyway, that's a story for another time. But if you can shoot that pig in the pen and then get that pig out of there, maybe you'll roll it up on a sled, maybe, and drag it up to the area that you're going to do it at. That's how I did it for a long time. Actually, not even a sled. We just dragged it with a pickup truck, put a chain around it or a rope and dragged it. Here on this farm, we've had a tractor here since we moved here, and it's got a loader on the front end. So I can lower a chain down, put a loop around their back leg and pick them up. And that's how we do it here. But I know some people have to just still use a sled because they don't have a loader yet. They're at the early stages of their farming career. But they do have an area where once the pig is quartered, they can bring it in and they can take it from meat on the bone of the pig. They can take it from there to breakfast sausage in a day. And then the breakfast sausage, what have you done? You've taken a sow, basically, impregnated her. She had babies. You took the babies, you put them in a pen, you fed them, and there's lots of ways to do that. The cheaper you can feed them, the better, honestly. And cheap, I don't mean cheap food. I mean food acquired inexpensively. Good food, the best you can get for them, but acquired inexpensively, which in this country, not hard. I'm here to tell you. And then you're taking them out of that pen, you're slaughtering them, which is a know-how process. You got to know how to do it. You got to have a plan, right? And then you got to get them in to where you can break them down from there and make sausage out of them. When we talk about this, like in the charcuterie class that's coming up, which I wonder if the Declare Homestead is coming to that. They should, or send somebody. We kind of talk about breakfast sausage as a kind of a middle of the road product that comes off of a pig. It's not the collar muscle and it's not the bacon. It's kind of in the middle. About $8 a pound, maybe more now, $8.50, $9 a pound. I really don't know. That's not my department. And things have changed a lot this year as far as dollars go for products. But making sausage is not that hard. It's almost like unskilled labor can do it. It's just a series of steps, and you do those steps, and voila, you've got sausage, and it tastes really good. You can pack it up so it's like a pound and a half in a bag and then vac seal it. It sits flat, or you can put it in those round tubes. I like it better now. I used to do the round tubes, but I like it better in the flat packs so you can see it. It looks really good. It's vac sealed, so it'll keep forever in the freezer. They go in the freezer and they stack up like, I don't know, like what is it that you stack up that's flat? Something. Anyway, but they stack up good in the freezer. And when you sell them, people are looking at it and, ooh, that's nice color meat. And of course, if you raise Mangalitsa pigs, which you should, um, the meat is always really nice and red, and the fat is bright white. So it looks really good. The breakfast sausage looks really good. Presents right. Whereas if you did like just regular pink pigs, the meat is pink or white almost, the other white meat. And it just, I don't know, it just doesn't look that good. It looks like spam. Spam doesn't really look that good if you've looked at spam. Last time I had it, I was really hungry when I ate it. And I guess I would have even eaten the can at that point. I ate the wrapper off of it, but it's nothing like Mangalitsa. Anyway, each one of those, let's say it's worth, for a pound, let's say it's worth an $8 bill. Let's just say, if they made an $8 bill. So you're making currency. You're making a currency. That's the gist of this whole thing. Think about it that way. You're creating a currency. So let's say you don't raise pigs. Let's say that you have gotten really good at gardening, and then you've gotten so good at it and you enjoy it so much, you actually go and teach people how to do organic gardening, right? So you're good then. And your garden is just killing it. You're just laying waste to everything. And let's say that you're really good at growing squash, right? People get good at growing squash. I don't know if that would be, well, it could be. And you put squash out in front of your house for sale, squash for sale, and people are just driving by it. It's like nobody wants squash. The only people that want them are the kids that steal them and then they smash them in town on the road. So that doesn't work because it's a squash. It's just like if I put a wiener pig, or let's say I put a 120-pound pig out by the road and I tied it out there and it had a for sale sign on it, 99% of the people that go by that are going to say, well, that's cool, but I don't know what to do with a pig, and I don't have a place to put a pig. And like, it's worth less to me because I don't know what to do with a pig, right? But let's say you have a refrigerator out there, and I'm not saying do this, but, and people can, let's say you have a big sign out there with a picture of squash that has been cooked down and put in packages and looks really nice. You've made a nice presentation with it. And let's say a big squash like this, if you were going to sell it for $2, if you break it all down and put it in bags, you cooked it down and you put it in bags, squished it down, put some cinnamon in there maybe or whatever. And each one of those things, it's about this big, and it would feed a family of 6, whatever. And you asked $2 for that. How many of those $2, just as an example, maybe it's more than that. How many of those could you make out of that $2 squash that you would never sell for $2? Right? Because it's like pumpkins. Pumpkins have a ton of food value, but people think, oh, they're just for making jack-o'-lanterns and smashing on the road. They're really not. They're for eating. They're actually really good to eat. So if you turn it into something that people find value in, then you are creating a currency. So this gets good. I think it does, because I thought this through a lot. Matter of fact, Jill just started up a facet to the Anyone Can Farm Tribe page on Facebook, and it's I'm not sure what you'd call it, a chat, but it's bartering. It's bartering. Now, what is bartering? It's trading. It's trading, right? And we don't think this way as Americans because we think in dollars. In dollars. Last week, I don't think that we planned this. We didn't. I think maybe what I talked about last week, Jill said, hey, because we always have people that come on the tribe and they want to move some of their stuff along. And you'd kind of like, if somebody's got some wiener pigs and they'd want to sell them, you'd kind of like to say, yeah, go ahead. But then what happens is somebody comes along and they let's say they are buying something that the Amish make, for instance, and then they're marketing it. And then they come on and they want to sell it on the tribe. Well, how can you tell one person they can sell wiener pigs and another person they can't sell, some aluminum made chicken coop, Aluma coop? There was a guy that was wanting to sell them on there, and all the various other things they want to sell them. And the site gets taken over from people playing show and tell, look what I did, to people selling stuff or selling other people's stuff. It becomes a sales site. Nobody wants it. And, that's not the place for the tribe. So she opened up this barter site, and it's for stuff that is being created on farms. And, I suppose people could abuse it if they want to, but it's more for barter. And it's going to turn out to work locally, although I have seen people say, if I see what I want and I have to drive for it, I don't mind, I'll do it. Okay. For me, my time is really important, and I don't like to spend it on the road chasing stuff. Right? Barn Geek. Yeah, you like bartering. Oh yeah, we bartered. Yeah, the Barn Geek is actually coming for the charcuterie class, and we bartered for the plans and some of the hardware for the cabin, which that is going. That is going to be really cool, because I'm pretty sure we're going to build another one or maybe two this summer. That'll be a special project that the interns will be working on. So we will get them going on it. And I know that they're not master builders or anything, but it's good for homesteaders to be able to grow stuff, fix stuff, and build stuff. Grow stuff, fix stuff, and build stuff. So if we had young people that were here and they were, they get up in the morning, they have to milk, they have to take care of the chicken tractors, they have to feed the pigs. On the afternoon after lunch, we're working on the cabin. So then they show up over there and they're putting batting on and fitting windows and all stuff that they haven't done, but then they get to learn along the way. Be it tremendous. I think it would just be tremendous. Like when Covey came here and hadn't done a lot of the things that I challenged him with, when he left, he was like, hey, I am MacGyver now. He's MacGyver. He is. And he's just barely opened the lid on that bottle of pickles, and he's going to get into it now. He's really going to get into it, and he's psyched, which is good. If you can turn a young heart on like that, it is a good thing. All right. So where was I? All right. But you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. So if you look at our sausage model, the sausage currency model, you can apply it to anything, almost anything. Beef. Okay. So I can very easily turn beef into hamburger, and you don't have to be a skilled butcher to do that. A very unskilled butcher can do that. Make really good hamburger, pack it up, vac it down, and each one grass-fed beef, $10 a pound or whatever it is a pound. It's not cheap anymore. It never was cheap. It's just that the money is cheap. The money is cheap. Okay. So let's say we have a storeroom on the farm, which that's what I'm working on now. That is our going to be our main focus now that it's cold outside. We're going to focus on getting the store finished out. The store is going to be dual purpose. We're also using it for a dining room, like for the charcuterie class. We've got to feed lunch, dinner, lunch, or lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch again. So there's 4 meals, and most of it's going to come from the pig. And we're a food creating organization, so it's part of the seat price you get when you're here, and that's served in the store slash cafe, right? So we're working on that right now. But the store, all right, let's think about the store. I have X amount of hours that I can put in during the week. And let's say, like today, I milk the cows, and we got 8 gallons of milk. We sell milk for $10 a gallon. So me and Frank, we put in about an hour milking the cows this morning. We turned $80. $80. And then the people come to the farm. They come in, they put in their empty bottles. They take their full bottles. We talk for a minute. They're happy. We're happy. And they go. And that hour that we work doing that, because we do it 2 people, because it just seems like a huge task to do one person, to bottle it all up and everything. And if 2 people are doing it, it's just easier, and then this quality assurance going, it's just a lot nicer with 2 people. Everybody agrees. No one's complained about it. So $80 went out in milk. Frank put in an hour. I put in an hour. I maybe put in a little bit more than he did, right? And so what do we get paid per hour? Let's say I get $20 an hour and Frank gets 10 an hour, but he doesn't get 10. Like, this is just chores. This is stuff we have to do. This pays for our room and board, basically. So we put in an hour, and let's say I'm getting 20 an hour and he's getting 10 an hour, $30 in pay to us, and $50 profit to the farm. That goes towards what? Towards, building materials, electricity, fuel, things that we have to pay for in dollars. But we're trying to get more in the mode of, we'll pay what we absolutely have to pay in dollars, because the electricity company won't take chickens. And the rest, we're going to work hard at bartering. So last week, I talked about fair value. And that's mostly teaching farmers how to put a dollar value on their time and quit just giving yourself away, because farmers have a tendency to do that because they enjoy what they're doing, and it's a way of life and all this stuff. But that subject carried over, and I actually had a guy call and said, so me and my dad want to come to the charcuterie class, would you take pigs in trade? And it just so happens, right? It just so happens that I'm really low on pigs right now. And I'm heavy on feed. He was heavy on pigs, low on money. So it was a relief for him to pay for the class in pigs. And it was a relief for me to get the pigs because I have a lot of feed right now. And I have the wherewithal to take those pigs to a heavier weight and turn them into sausage. And the sausage can go into the store. And it just sits in the store until somebody comes in and needs it and says, I'll give you $8 a pound. Or maybe they come in and they say, I need some sausage. You don't need any firewood, do you? I do. I do need firewood. I'll bring it. Oh, man, I'll give you even more sausage then. Good, they'll say, because I'm short on money right now, but we need sausage. Great. So I get the firewood. They get the sausage. Everybody's happy. It's better actually. It's better actually because when you change dollars, a lot of times there's slippage in there, and like the other day when I made the deal with this, with Isaiah, actually, it's Isaiah Duncan on the pigs. He said, well, we brought you 15. So I think I actually owe you some money. I said, no, you delivered them. I'm good. He says, you're sure? I said, I'm sure. And I was. I felt great about that. I got those 15 pigs. They were much heavier than wiener pigs. So they had already quite a bit of weight on them. They were nice and healthy. They looked good. And he helped us castrate them coming out of the trailer. So we were real happy with the deal. And now they're out there. By the end of next summer, I'm going to have 15 beautiful, nice big pigs out there. And a pig, when we break it down into all sausage, I'll do the math for you. Let's say and it's important for me to do this. Maybe you guys can do it in your head, but I need to do it. So let's say I feed a pig out in this growing season. They're 60, 70 pounds, some of them. If we grow them up to this time next year, they'll be 325 pounds. And once we hide them, or once we take the fur off of them and gut them, we're going to get probably 250 pounds if we made the whole thing into sausage, times, let's just say, $8 a pound. So times 15. But I'm doing the processing. So I have a plan. Right? I'm not going to be taking 15 pigs to the butchers and then bringing all that meat back here to do what with? Hope that somebody comes by and says, you don't have any pig meat, do you? No, you got to have a plan. So we built the store. Well, it was the old butcher shop. Now it's going to be built into the store. And now we're getting people used to coming to pick their milk up. Now all of a sudden they see another freezer next to the milk cooler. And they say, gee, I wonder what's in there. Oh, breakfast sausage, mangalitza, breakfast sausage. I'll try some of this. Or if they're kind of like, no, I don't know. I'll say, why don't you just take one, try it out, see if you like it. If you don't like it, then don't buy it. But just take one. It's sort of like what drug pushers do. Here, try this doob on the house. Take one of these doobies. My Mangalit's a pusher. But you see what I'm saying? We're generating, we get this thing generating and just churning, right? And what else can you put in the store? Hamburger, eggs. Now we're doing sheep. The sheep are doing a bang up job of converting grass into meat and fat. And then once you have a good butcher shop and you have a process down, then you can say, well, if I pay $1,000 for a steer that I'm going to get, I don't know, 1,000 pounds of, an 1,800-pound animal, you're going to get 1,000 pounds of carcass weight. And out of that, well, when you process it all up, if you do a really good, nice, artistic job, you can, selling it by the cut, you can make $5,000 off it. And other people argue that no, it's more like 7,000. And I'm not sure where I am on that exactly. I got to do it a little bit more. Or the whole darn thing could be turned into hamburger and then sold at $8 a pound. And a grass-fed beef could be a 4-year-old cull cow. Could be. And that would be some of the best beef you ever had right there. And she would be culled. Why? Maybe she had a stillborn calf. Maybe she didn't catch. She didn't get repregnated. And cull cows usually get turned into hamburger because people think, well, she's 4 years old and a 4-year-old cow, that can't be any good. That is the dumbest thing. But if you had 10 people in a room and you showed them, an 18-month-old and a 2.5-year-old and then a 4-year-old and say, which one do you think would have the best? They would say, oh, this young one. Or you show them a calf. Oh, this calf. Oh, that would be nice, tender meat. No. I mean, it might be tender, but that it would be, the flavor profile would be nothing. It would be, if you ever have veal, there's nothing there. You got to put a bunch of stuff on it to give it any kind of flavor. Oh, I didn't know veal tasted like ketchup. Oh, veal tastes like ketchup. No, that's because there's ketchup all over it because it has no taste. Okay, so then you could take a product and you could add value to it, and it's your expertise, and then make it available. I was feeling pretty good. I had a problem with my front end loader. I had a frozen control cable yesterday, and I got that straightened out today. Hopefully, it was not warmer today, but it was working well. I soaked it in brake fluid, and so I was taking a bale out to the cows, and I noticed that they already had quite a bit to clean up. So I put the bale down, and then I went down to the bottom of the field because they were at the top of the field, and I opened the gate to go through. Because if they're at the gate and you open it, they want to get on the other side, even though it's just snow on my side too. Yeah, we had snow yesterday. So I go down there and I come up through the field, and there was a water trough that I needed to pick up so I could put it on the back porch here so we could do our cold plunging in the morning. The pool, it's treacherous getting up there, and I didn't want to do that anymore. It just seems like, what if it just, and the water's green. It's organic though. So we're just going to put a water trough out here and put a bird bath feeder in it to keep it from the ice from getting too thick. And you go out in the morning, you just break the ice so it's all chunky ice, and you get in it, and it does a lot for you. You know, it really loosens you up. And cold plunging, I'd say it's the best buzz for the money, right? It really gets you going. There's a lot of information out there on it, and me and Jill have been doing it. I think this is our third year of doing it, maybe even more. But if I don't do it, I know. Well, anyway, I'm bringing that trough up, and I got to go through the gate again, and the cows raced me down there to the gate, and one of them came through the gate. And I didn't realize what I had done, but I had pulled back on the control, and it raised the bucket all the way to the top, and that trough was in there, and it's one of those Rubbermaid, I don't know, 100-gallon tank, heavy. It's got to weigh 60 pounds, and it raised it up probably 14 feet, and then it toppled back. And I'm looking at this cow like, you little jerk, and bam, it hit me. And I didn't even know what hit me. And I had a hat on, and I had headphones on. I was listening to Veterans Chronicles, actually. And it hit the headband. It hit the top of the band, you know, of the headsets. And somehow it skinned me right there. That's a good skin, you can see. It skinned right off, and so I had blood coming down over my face. I didn't know how bad I was hurt. I didn't know if I was going to lose consciousness because it hit me hard. And it hit me on the ridge of my nose, too. So I had all this blood coming down my face, and I thought, am I going to pass out? I wasn't sure. You know, I've been there. And I sat there on the tractor for a minute, and the cows kind of all piled out. They got to be in the field. And I thought, well, hell with them. I just need to see if I'm okay. My neck hurt really bad. It jammed my vertebrae down into my middle of my back. And I thought, oh no, this could ruin a person's life for a while. And when you take an impact like that, if it doesn't hurt at first, you never know. You never know. So I came up to the house, and I told Jill what had happened. And I figured, I don't know. So I got all my warm clothes off and washed my face, figured out where I was bleeding from, and ate lunch. And I wasn't really tired, but I thought, I just need to rest. I just need to lay down. And I did. I went like right into our room. I laid down, put a blanket over me, still had my coveralls on. And 2.5 hours later, I woke up. And I'm thinking, let's see, am I injured? You know, because I still didn't know if I had a good injury or not. And I kind of moved around a little bit, and I thought, well, it's do or die. Got up, started walking around. You know, my back is creaking and stuff. And I went out. I had some things to do before I called it a day. And then I came in like 6:30 and figured I'll take a shower and just let the water run on my back. And I did. And I'm feeling okay. But with a sleep like that in the afternoon, I probably won't be going to bed anytime soon. So, yeah, when that happened, I thought, wow, that could have hit me like in the mouth. If it had connected on my head, it definitely could have killed me from that distance that it fell. I have a friend that got a very bad injury when the same thing happened to him with a bale of hay. He pulled the control back, and then he wasn't looking at the load, and it kept going up, and then he just saw it in time to his arm up like this, and it pulled his arm back, broke this, wrenched his shoulder out, and he's 70 now, but he he can't even lift his arm up past that because they never fixed it right. So, yeah, dangerous. And that's the second time something like that has happened to me. The second time. Yeah. I should know better, but I did it. So there you go. All right. So let's see who we got talking to us today. I haven't been keeping up with the chat. I've just been doing my chatting. So I guess I'm saying that what you need to do is get you a plan to turn what you produce into something that has value. Okay, yeah, we got 4 inches of snow here yesterday, dudes. Sebastian Lawyer, I haven't seen you here before. Welcome. Hilltop Home Place. I wonder if that's the Hilltop Dairy. Yeah, give me thumbs up, you guys. Give me thumbs up. Let's break the algorithm. Declaric Homestead's with us. Declaric, like your video on chicken feed. I didn't see it. I did not see it. Barn Geek, Kavi. Kavi did talk to your mom today. She said she's making you come to the class, but she can't come. So you need to ride her and say, you can. You just need to find somebody to mind the store. Drag her along, get in your little car, and drive up here. You'll have a good time. Rooted Reliance. Really appreciate us. Well, thank you. Sonia in Michigan. All right. I think Sonia has been asked to run the barter page because she's really the one that has got us thinking about bartering. And it was from Tribe Day, not this year, but the year before at the campfire when you were talking, when your voice was not working and you were talking about bartering. It really helped us to think about that. Yeah. So if I have all these products that I'm making on the farm, right? So we raise chickens out on the field, raise them out on the field, bring them through the butcher shop, get them butchered, break them down, smoke some of them, and then package them up and put them in the store. What does the store actually become? The store actually becomes like a bank. It's got all this valuable stuff in it. I really like the idea of the store. There's a couple of movies that impacted me. One of them was Josie Wales. And at one point, he winds up at a store. It was like an outpost. It was an outpost. And I don't remember what the name of it was, but that's where he found these two big old trappers, these mountain men looking guys that were beating up on this Native American gal. And they called her a squaw. What a terrible word. But anyway, Josie rescued her at that outpost. And I remember that outpost. It was just kind of it was a trading post. And they had horses there, and they had, beer, and they had, beef jerky and many, many things. So you could take hides in there and you could trade them to the guy, and he would, trade you a hawk and gun, let's say, or, whiskey or something like that. And so I think that concept for our homesteads is a good concept because you're self-contained. You have people come on the farm, they go in the store, oh, I want that, and then they take it. Is everything in the store produced by you? Doesn't have to be. It's your store. You sell whatever you want in there, so long as it's legal stuff. If you got a neighbor that does quilting, let's say, and she wants to have a quilt in there, notice I said she. Could be a guy. Guys quilt too. Some guys do. Yeah, you could sell quilts in there or whatever. You could sell whatever you want in there in your outpost. So that's kind of how our store I want it to be. I want to have many things for sale in there. And then let's say I have a gun rack in there and I have a firearm that I had for a while and decided I didn't really want to keep it. I put it on the shelf. I can sell that if I want. If I have a yard sale and I have a firearm that belongs to me, I can sell that. Why not? Or let's say that I have uh, an incubator and I hatch out a whole bunch of chicks. I can sell them. Why not? Why not? Uh, Another thing that we're going to do is we do business with a mill up in Mayo, and it's quite a ways away from us. Quite a ways. It's quite a ways away from any population center. But they come out here and they bring us feed. We get it in bulk. They put it in our feed bin, and then we use it to feed our chickens all summer long. But we can get feed from them in 50-pound bags. We can put those in the store, mark them up, I don't know, a couple of bucks. And every time somebody buys chicken feed from us, we make, let's say, a couple bucks a bag. Hey, why not? Why not? It's sort of like instead of going to Tractor Supply to get stuff, you can get it here. And while you're there, you can get your gallon of milk. Oh, and I'm going to get some of these chicks as well. I'd get some chicks, but I don't know how to do them. Well, maybe the farmer will come in and tell you how to do it. Maybe he'll take you out and show you how he does it. Maybe. Of course I would. We had a new milk customer come today. This is incredible. She's friends with another gal that we've just met. In their 30s, mid 30s, looks like, was part of corporate America. Both of them were. And living in the Detroit area, working for some corporation. And just decided, I'm not doing this anymore. And so her and her husband, they just left. And they moved out here to the perimeter. And he had experience doing something with firearms training. So now he's got a firearms training business. She works part of the business. And then they have something else going. I'm not really sure what it is. But she was here buying milk. And all of a sudden, whoa, you're not just somebody with dollars in your pocket. You're a human being that, can provide a service to me as I'm providing a service to you. Like, her husband's a weapons expert. Well, I could use some of that training, certain things that I'm not up on, that I would like to get a little bit smarter about. It can always sharpen the stick a little bit. So there's always that aspect of things. When you meet somebody and you wind up having similar interests, I feel like I'm a collector of people now. It's like I meet somebody and I met this guy not too long ago and he's like, oh, I'm a explosives technician. Like, really? I don't know where we're going to need explosives, but you never know. But I would still like to know some things that I've always wondered about explosives. I've had limited exposure to explosives. But anyway, and then it makes me think about myself, like, shouldn't I be building a resume on my life resume? Like, what do you know how to do? If somebody came to me and said, well, what do you know how to do? Why should I listen to you? That's a good one. Well, why should I listen to you? There's always you hear these guys, and my wife listens to some of them, and they're motivational speakers. And I will catch little pieces of them talking. And once in a while, you get a glance of the guy or gal that's talking. And then I just, I've got things to do. And so I don't pay all that much attention. But I have this little voice says, why in the hell would I listen to you? You spend all your time up in front of people yakking, and you've got people convinced that you know what you're talking about. But why don't we let's go over to your house and see not what you're saying, but I want to see how you live. I want to see, what I'm getting at here. So keeping a resume like that it would be helpful if let's say you got stranded on an island and we have to figure out, okay, who we going to eat first, and you got, you know, that type of thing. Like, and if somebody's really good at hunting, well, don't eat him because he's bringing those monkeys in out of the jungle. He's the only one that seems can do it. And then there's a botanist, and there is an island that's covered with all these exotic mushrooms, but some of them are deadly. Well, don't eat her, because if we get hungry and we have to eat mushrooms, we need her to identify the deadly ones. So she's good to go. But then you start looking at yourself like, I'm really good at spreadsheets, guys. Don't eat me. I'm good at spreadsheets. Oh, okay. I'm going to go out for a run in the morning. No, don't get those muscles all tight. No, just relax. Drink plenty of water. So I think we're kind of, you're on Survivor Island whether you know it or not. And the quicker you figure out that you have to skill up and get yourself to a place where you're resilient, the better. Isn't it funny how the powers that be want you kind of compartmentalized? They don't want you healthy, that's for sure. And they don't want you resilient. They want you to have to go run into them all the time. And you go run into one of these offices, and what do? Tell you to get in line. Now they don't. They say, I'll make an appointment online. Then you show up when your appointment's supposed to be. Oh, no, we actually changed that. They don't care about you. You got to care about yourself. And community is very, very important. And isn't it funny how if you go to one of these offices, these government offices, how worthless you feel by the way you're treated by them? Not all, but I know I've had my share of, like the DMV and other things like that. And yet in our movement, in the homesteading movement, you're looking at your fellow man and saying, that guy has a lot of value, or that gal has a lot of value. Holy smokes. Look at the babies she's churning out. Look at that. That is incredible. Where if you go to the DMV, get in line, you little twerp. Oh, you don't have this. Go on and get it. Get out of here. I don't want to, and you're almost devalued by somebody that is like a pencil pusher, Yeah. Or you see these videos online of people being abused by police officers. Wow, that's just terrible. I can't stand to see that. Having wanted to be a policeman myself at one time and being involved with police cadets and things like that, I hate to see that abusive behavior by police. They're not all like that, but I hate to see that. Anywho, I'm going to get going. Appreciate everybody coming by. Let's see. Barn Geek. It happened fast. I've had a few close calls. It's so easy to get distracted on the tractor. Yep. Thanks. I'm okay. Got a little stiff neck, though. Oh, man. And Audubon. Speaking the truth, brother. Right on. Okay. Remember, our class, the charcuterie class, is going to be not this coming weekend, but the weekend after. We start bright and early, Saturday morning, 09. 0900. When you get here, the animals will already have been killed. They'll be in halves and already cooled. There's a little bit of redundancy from the Homestead hog harvest class going into this, in that we do break the animals down into primals again. So we do that in the Homestead hog harvest class, but in the Homestead hog harvest class, we're starting with live animals. So we're a little bit further along. And then we do process the organs and break the animals down. And then we start right into the chemistry of the whole thing, and breaking primals down into subprimals, going over a lot of the popular types of charcuterie. We pull a lot of our charcuterie out of the hanging room and get it sliced up so you can try it. It's really a good thing to know how to do. I believe it will keep me alive on the island because I know how to do it. Aaron, remind me, we could have a little exercise during the class. You know, we can kind of size people up. So what are you good for? You know, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an accountant. Uh-huh. Oh, I'm an explosives technician. We may need you. Maybe not on Survivor Island. You know, there's no explosives to use, but maybe the guy could MacGyver something up in case we needed to. But this guy's got, you know, he's got definitely a direction, you know, chemical engineer, all this stuff going for him. And yeah, he's inquisitive, young and inquisitive. So he's learning a lot of stuff. Builders, Zeke's good, man. Nah, he'll survive. You'll survive. The Barn Geek will survive. Ooh, let's see. Well, Sonia's going to survive too. She's a scrounger big time. Let's see. Yeah, automotive. I don't know. Maybe he'll survive. Rooted in Reliance. We don't know. We don't know you. Covey. Young and tender. Young and tender. Dark meat. Let's see. The cleric. No, they'll survive. They're pretty good at stuff. Okay, I better get off that train of thought. We should not be talking about cannibalism. It's not good for the ratings. Too old. No, too old. Okay. Well, got to get going. Thanks for everybody coming by. And remember, anyone can farm.